Thanksgiving begins a very special time of the year for us. It's the time of peace and reflection, and of getting ready for the new year. One thing we should all be thankful for is that we live in America, where we have the freedom to change things and the opportunity to...
Welcome to the Drunk Turkey Show, starring Big Blue.
Can I say hi, Kim?
Hi. Oh, I love you. You are just like a giant.
Lady Liberty just squirted in my face. And when you do drink with a straw, the myth is you get more drunk because you get more air mixed in.
Hi, Maggie.
Like, you know how the fans going like this? It goes, ooh,
Yeah.
when it hits my butthole. Last time I went to Mexico, I stopped by a little stand and the lady had gloves. I was like, lady, take off those gloves. I need that shit.
It wasn't.
Why not drinking beer so you can feel good and like it tastes good? What the hell's the point of this?
And Daniel J.
I got a friend named Jonathan Martinez who's not allowed in the library. Yo puede hablar español cuando yo tomando. You look very handsome tonight, LJ.
Every day. It's an everyday thing. I gotta
Wake up. This is excellence.
Y'all watch them every Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. I get to see them every day. I get to see that. I get to see those chicks every day. What's on his face?
And the other ones.
It's the year 3000. It still sucks. This is Phil J. Fry, and you're listening to the Drunken Turkey Show. Your one stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Drunk Turkey Show. Big Blue is going to start rapping for this special occasion.
Start all eyes on me.
All eyes are definitely on you. Every time we come on the show, Big Blue, you are the man, the myth, the legend. That is for sure. So, how you doing, man? How's your week going? Did you work last night?
I did work last night, but I am finally off today, so I get to relax. So.
Nice, man. That's good, man. That's good to hear. Good to hear. Anything crazy happened last night?
Nothing too crazy, man. Yesterday was just a nice, peaceful day. You know, it was good. I mean, there's always a few things like, you know, we always sometimes get patients that have ear infections, like especially children. And man, you feel bad for them because they had to wait a few minutes for the parents to fill out the paperwork, and they're just screaming and kicking, you know, and until we finally get them in. But, you know, other than that, it wasn't too peaceful. It wasn't too bad.
It was peaceful. Well, that's good, man. It's good to hear that it wasn't too crazy.
Yeah.
But, dude, some crazy news came up in the last couple of days. Apparently, there's been a break in the case in the Tupac Shakur murder back from 1996. Cold case. There's been a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors, a lot of conspiracies. If you think there's some conspiracies in Idaho, there's some conspiracies when it comes to Tupac. In fact, there's a lot of people to this day who still think he's alive. Big Blue, did you ever follow that theory that Tupac survived? He faked his thing, or was it?
I've seen some pictures every once in a while surface, and they kind of look like him. But you know, I'm pretty sure the ME did his job, so I'm pretty sure it's him that's 6 feet under.
Well, according to Suge Knight, or however you pronounce his name, I apologize. According to Marion Knight, the ME hasn't been seen since the autopsy and the burning of Tupac's body. I can't think of the name of it for the life of me off the top of my head. The cremation. There you go. The cremation of his body. So, you know, he says that he's made a lot of money and disappeared. You know, Suge Knight is one of those guys that put out that theory. He's not been shy to say that Tupac's in Cuba or any of those things to try to elevate what was left of death row while he was a free man. Currently, he's incarcerated for taking somebody's life.
I was going to say, I wouldn't talk too much about Suge Knight. He might try to run you over in his car like he did that guy.
He ain't getting out of jail anytime soon, my man. That's for sure. Sure. And so, but let's look into this breaking news that we had that came up So the Tupac murder investigation, Keffe D reportedly at the center of police search warrant. Now, for those that don't know who Keffe D is, he's this young, or he's not young. This is the older man here to the right of. I believe that's a wax model of Tupac. That's not even you would think they would have gotten a real picture of Tupac, and not a picture of the wax Tupac in Vegas. Well, that's Keffe D.
Who owns the rights?
All right, that's true. Who owns the rights? Who owns the rights? So Keffe D is the uncle of the longtime suspected, alleged person to have committed this crime, Orlando Anderson. And Keffe D came out with basically he confessed, so to speak. And we're going to get into his confession and all that a little bit later. But he confessed not too long ago under some sort of deal that wouldn't, use his words against him. And it's called the proffer deal. And in return, he got off of some pretty serious drug offenses. And so, a lot of people have been speculating, is it real? Is it not real? There's a lot of stuff that's come out of that confession. But apparently, and this was a couple of years ago when this confession had occurred, now there was a raid, and this is coming from hiphopdx.com. Says here, Tupac's murder investigation kicked back into life this week as Las Vegas police executed a search warrant on a home in connection with the rapper's death. And now it's been revealed that Duane Keffe D. Davis is who the cops are looking into. According to 8 News Now, the search warrant executed on the property in Henderson, Nevada on Monday involved Keffe D., the former gang member of Uncle Pac's alleged killer Orlando Anderson. Police reported searched the home for personal notes, photos, and other documents related to the rapper's passing. Although it is unclear if they retrieved any of the items of interest, residents at the address declined to comment, but one person reportedly threatened a reporter and a photographer that things would escalate if they did not leave. So it's pretty crazy. In fact,
your mic muffles a little bit.
Is it back yet? I got to get in the mic, man. This thing's kind of upsetting me. Is it still muffled?
A little bit. It's starting to get a little bit more better. Somebody did ask if I am RN. I'm actually a medical assistant, but I'm also an X-ray tech, limited license X-ray tech. So I'm not an RN. I didn't want to go back to school for that.
Can you hear me?
It sounds still a little muffled, but you can still hear you. I see if you talk a little bit, it might fix itself.
All right, check one.
That's a little bit better.
All right. Well, I apologize. I'm not sure what's been going on with StreamYard lately.
Yeah.
It sounds good on mine.
Yeah, it's good now.
So here is a video of the SWAT team pulling into the area. In other clips, you can actually hear people yelling, or you can hear the police department yelling, come out with your hands up, things of that nature, in some of these clips. So yeah. It's pretty crazy, man, that they're looking into this. Let's see. This is from the Deltaplex. Let's see. So Las Vegas homicide detectives and prosecutors determined they had enough information to proceed with a court-authorized search. An official brief on the investigation told ABC News the search was conducted about 10 p.m. local time with Las Vegas MetroPD SWAT on hand. The scene was described as loud, the police using bullhorns and lights. Though no charges have been filed, investigators have long believed the gunman is likely passed, the victim of a separate shooting 2 years after the Vegas drive-by. The current investigation could lead to the determination of who was in the car with the gunman when the rounds were fired that killed Tupac. That could lead to someone being charged as an accomplice. Officials caution and charges decisions have been made yet. So This is a probe into the death gained new momentum after the Netflix aired Unsolved, the Tupac and Biggie murders in 2018, and the book Compton Street Legend by Duane Keefe Davis, aka Keffe D, came out in 2019. Keffe D has said he is one of 2 living eyewitnesses of the shooting. So, are you familiar, Big Blue, with everything that kind of went down?
I mean, it's been a while since I've reviewed the case, but I always remember them talking about how there was a drive-by shooting, and then something about, they were always talking about the bullet. That was a magic bullet or something that I guess they couldn't find it or something. But I'm pretty sure they did find it. There was a bunch of bullets.
Well, with Pac, they found a bunch of bullets. He got riddled, but
Yeah.
In order to understand, I guess, what happened, we probably should talk about everything, the entire situation with Tupac, right? So, a lot of people look at what happened with Tupac and they kind of mix it up with what happened with Biggie Smalls, who passed away a few months later as well. There was a East Coast, West Coast rap battle that was going on at the time. And, Biggie and Tupac were basically at the head of that battle. And so, but this, because there's even rumors that, for instance, the head of Biggie's record label, which was Bad Boys Records, Sean Combs, who went by Puff Daddy at the time.
P. Diddy.
P. Diddy, that he allegedly had some sort of hiring component to this situation. But let's start off at the beginning. So way back, like back in 1992, 93, Tupac and Biggie were actually like pretty good friends. Tupac started to blow up. He began hanging out with the wrong type of group. One of the persons that he was hanging out with was a guy named James Rosemond, aka Jimmy Henchman. He's a convicted drug trafficker and turned entertainment record executive. This is a picture of Jimmy here. And so basically this guy, and according to, reports, movies, documentaries, Biggie had kind of warned Tupac about hanging around with Jimmy because of his affiliation with, some of the affiliations you would, with some of the people you would be affiliated with when you're a drug trafficker, allegedly.
Yeah.
Right.
Happy birthday, Pumpkin Dawn. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. And we're almost to 39.4. I think we only needed like one more subscriber to hit 39,400 subs. So let's get that subs. Let's get those likes up. We got 205 people in here. Let's get it going.
Like, one thing that I do say, man, like, being in last year when we interviewed a couple rappers and stuff like that, I got to go to a few shows, right? And I got to go backstage, with the rapper that we know is a high school friend of ours.
Right. D-Rock, by the way, if y'all don't know who he is. And
it was cool shows, but yeah, man, some of the people that show up are pretty shady. You're like, man, like, cool scene and everything, but I always make sure I don't bump into anybody. Because I've been to a couple concerts like that. I bump into the wrong person. They want to fight me for no reason.
All right. We probably shouldn't show up wearing these colors, Big Blue. So, so in 93, right? November of 93, Tupac and members of his entourage were charged with an SA of a female named, who would be later identified as Anya Jackson. Now, this female was introduced to Tupac by James Roseman, aka Jimmy Henchman, right? In fact, apparently, I think the entourage that Tupac was associated with were also members of Jimmy Henchman's entourage. They were all part of his group, right? Apparently, what had occurred in that situation was that Anya Jackson had phoned Tupac. And they made arrangements for her to go to his hotel room and to give him a massage or something of that nature. And what ended up happening is she goes, she hangs out with him, she leaves, and then the entourage then assaults her, right? And so she ends up charging, filing a report. The entourage and Tupac end up getting charged with assaulting sexually. And so she had admitted during trial that she had had sexual relations with Tupac prior, and Tupac claimed he was innocent. And so this all occurred back in 1993. Tupac would go about and basically talk about the incident, though. And in one situation, I got to see if I can find it real quick. He actually had an interview where he was talking about why he is the one that is out in front of everybody when the allegations against him. They weren't towards him. It was towards the entourage. They were the ones that actually committed, the crime, so to speak. And Tupac was very vocal about this. And so what ended up happening was, and it's all alleged, but that Jimmy Henchman had orchestrated a robbery. This happened on November 30th, 1994. It was supposed to apparently been just like a scare thing, but it turned into Tupac getting shot 5 times. So it was November 30th, 1994. Tupac was scheduled to record a verse with a rapper named Little Sean at Quad Studios in Manhattan. As he arrived, members of the Junior Mafia, which was Biggie and Puff Daddy's group, they're all affiliated with Bad Boy, were shouting from the upper floor to greet Tupac at the street below. Once Tupac entered into the building, 2 gunmen ordered everybody in the lobby to the floor. When Tupac hesitated, he was shot 5 times and robbed. Tupac was taken out by a stretcher. He gave the middle finger to Biggie and other Bad Boy affiliates who were present. Apparently, he felt that either Biggie and Pac set him up, had something to do with it, or knew about it, and felt that when the Junior Mafia was yelling from the second floor, that was some sort of like alert. Hey, Pac is coming. All right. Now, Tupac ends up taking himself out of the hospital, ends up going to court where he was convicted the next day. And he showed up in a wheelchair, head wrapped around, 9 yards. But he was convicted the next day for, I think it was, what was it? Sexual abuse. So a lot of the sexual allegation charges of like sodomy and things of that nature were dropped. But he was still convicted of the sexual abuse. Afterwards, Tupac implied, like in an interview with Vibe, that Biggie, Puffy, and Uptown Records and Andre Hall were all involved and responsible for the attack at Quad Studios. And so he was still going at it, even though he was convicted and then ended up being convicted of the sexual assault. While he was in jail, a song gets dropped called "Who Shot You?" And Tupac takes that as like a dig, even though the song was supposedly written prior to Tupac going to prison. He still takes it as a dig at him, and it starts a whole feud. He now for sure thinks that these guys had something to do with it, and we're bragging about it. Let's see this. So this is Shaz Banda, $5 super chat. Good evening, Daniel Blue. Mods in chat. How y'all doing? God bless from everyone in UK. Thank you so much. We appreciate you and your super chat. Thank you.
I think you meant probably at Mandy Joe. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you very much, and let's bring this down.
So, while Tupac's in jail, right? He ends up appealing his conviction, right? So he gets granted like a bail, but this bail's like over $1 million or something like that. So he can't afford it. So he's there for a few months. And during that time, while Tupac is in jail, this is September of '95, Jermaine Dupri is having his birthday party. And at this birthday party, P. Diddy is there and his entourage or his bodyguards. Suge Knight show up with his bodyguards. And Suge Knight's best friend, Big Jake, is what it's called. He ends up getting losing his life. Now, there's been a lot of speculation as to how he lost his life. According to Suge Knight and even Jermaine Dupri, it was one of P. Diddy's entourage or one of his security guards that shot him. According to Gene Deal, who was Puff Daddy's bodyguard, he states that Suge Knight actually slapped Jermaine Dupri and some other guy, and they didn't see anything. And that the guy that ended up getting shot was shot because he was hitting on some other dude's girlfriend and had nothing to do with P. Diddy. But there's been a lot of theories out there or a lot of speculation, that Suge Knight blamed basically Puff Daddy for that incident. Everything makes sense so far, what I'm saying, Big Blue?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike ES. Oh, go ahead, Blue. I'm sorry.
And then thank you, Tuesday. We love Tupac. Tupac had some of the best music, and he's was one of the best lyrics out there.
Dude, for sure, man. Like, I used to listen to all his music. There was one thing that used to make me think that maybe perhaps he was alive, and there was a song called "God Bless the Dead," which came out after his passing. And in the intro, and it also came out on the Greatest Hits, which was in 1998. And in that album, there's a song called God Bless the Dead. And in the intro of it, it says, "Rest in peace to Biggie Smalls." Now, Biggie Smalls died in 97. Tupac died in 96. So I was like, there it is. But I also was a young teenager around that time, and very naive and gullible. I didn't realize that it was probably inserted there from a couple of different things that Pac had said as respect to Biggie because he passed. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What's up, True Crime Cafe? Thank you for your super chat. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Doggo. Yeah, man, I used to love both of them. They were both good rappers. But I think Tupac had a lot more music out than Biggie.
Well, he had to, man. So we'll get into that. We'll get into why he had to after we get caught up. So
was this those accusations there? Did that happen before he dated Will Smith's Jada Pinkins?
No. So Jada Pinkett came. Supposedly, Tupac never dated Jada. So Pac was actually from the Baltimore area, Maryland area, and he went to a school in the Bronx, New York area, where it had to deal with like acting and drama and artistic stuff, right? And that's where he met Jada Pinkett Smith, and they became friends, only friends supposedly. But if that lady's having, what was the word that she used? Entanglements with her son's friends. I'm pretty sure she entangled with Pac.
Well, she said that she admitted the greatest love of her life was Tupac.
Yeah.
She admitted on her own podcast or the round table, whatever they call it. So. True story.
So all that goes down, right? And supposedly this is what fuels Suge Knight's, I guess, hatred towards Bad Boy was the loss of his buddy Jake. And so that happened before any of those things. So Suge Knight knows that Notorious B.I.G. and Pac aren't friends at this point because of the shooting at Quad Studios. And what ends up happening is Suge Knight is not, in the best with Bad Boy Records. So he uses that towards his advantage. He goes and he presents Tupac a deal stating that he will pay his bail for $1.4 million in exchange for Shakur to release 3 albums under death row. And so after only serving 9 months of his sentence, he ends up being released on bail. Now, the reason he was released on bail on a conviction was because it was through an appeal. Like, apparently, like all the serious crimes were dismissed, and what he ended up, which was still wrong, but what he ended up getting, I think, charged with would have been equivalent to like a guy pinching a girl's rear end as she walks by. Still sexual assault and abuse or whatnot, but it's not a SA. You know what I'm saying? And so The degree of the crime really didn't fit, the prison term that he got. And
Yeah.
a lot of folks at that time were feeling that the judge overstepped his boundaries there because of the fact that he was trying to make or set an example with Tupac because he was a famous musician. Does that make sense, Blue?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was a musician and actor, man. He was good.
Yeah, yeah. Some people wanted to make an arrangement. I mean, not an arrangement, an example.
Example. Yeah.
So, dude, so he gets released October 12th. Before the end of the month, in October of 1995, Tupac met with Biggie's estranged wife at the time. Or I think, no, it was actually his wife at the time, Bad Boy singer, wife Evans, at a party and agreed to pay her $250,000 to sing on one of his tracks. I think it was Don't You Know Why They Call You? It rhymes with itch. I don't want to say the rest of it. So,
and also like a snitch.
There it is. That true story. According to Evans, after she recorded her part, Pac refused to pay her unless there was sexual favors, which she claims she declined. And so, while Evans continued to deny these rumors, she was involved romantically or sexually with Pac. Suge Knight and Tupac were doing the opposite. In 1996, January, they came out on the New York Times, where they spoke with reporter Lynn Hertzberg, and he stated that he was somewhat in a relationship with Evans and that she had given him gifts and he had repaid her on those gifts and implied that there were sexual favors done for those gifts. Supposedly, Biggie flew into a rage after hearing about the Times article, aggressively confronted Evans, however, publicly brushed it off as a joke. Until Tupac then comes out with a song called Hit 'Em Up, where he insults very explicitly Notorious B.I.G. and goes as far as to claim that uses one of the lyrics is towards B.I.G. is, "You claim to be a player, but I effed your wife." Yeah. And so that was considered one of the biggest diss tracks, or probably because it's one of the first ever diss tracks that was ever released. But it was definitely the biggest diss track at the time, and a good song. I enjoyed it, despite the my adolescent age and probably shouldn't have been listening to it. What about you, Big Blue? Were you a fan of the beef that had occurred between Pac and Biggie? Did you like the music?
Yeah, man. Actually, the music was dope. Like, I liked a lot of the back and forth, and until it got violent, it was pretty cool, man. I don't think they had to lose their life for words, but that's the name of the streets, man. You talk about it so bad or too much, they're gonna get you.
True story, dude.
That's why.
True story.
That's why we don't cover cartel stories. They're too close to the border. We'll vanish at the gas station.
True story on that one. So during this time, some other stuff happens. Apparently, they're allegedly Tupac and Suge Knight end up hiring or finding this relative of Puff Daddy's, this relative that knew where Puff would stay when he was in Los Angeles, and they beat the living crap out of him, supposedly. So I think at this point is when allegedly Puff Daddy was getting a little bit worried. And according to Keffe D, made a statement of a possible hit. We'll get into that statement and everything once we catch up to that part. So during that time also, Puff Daddy put out a bounty. If you notice, there's a death row medallion on many of the rappers that were a part of Death Row Records that they wore on chains on their necks. And basically, Puff Daddy had put out a bounty for one of these chains. In May of 1996, Orlando Anderson, which we'll hear his name again, he's a Southside Crip. He was also hot. So I got a little bit too far ahead of myself. After Combs's relative gets beat up. He ends up hiring a bunch of Southside Crips to be his like bodyguards, right? Especially for when he goes into the California area. Now, during this time, that's when Puff Daddy puts out that bounty for the medallions. In May of '96, Orlando Anderson, one of the Southside Cribs, sees a guy named Robert Lane, who is part of the Piru Bloods at a Footlock store. Not Rob Lane, I'm sorry. Trey Lane. They try to rob Lane. I wrote it down differently. So Orlando Anderson robbed Trey Lane in a Footlock store for the medallion. Now, there's a lot of, depending on who you ask. If you ask the Southside Cribs guys, they say that they took the medallion. You ask the Piru guys, they say that that's not true. So who you want to believe, right? So then that leads us to September 7th, 1996. So Tupac Shakur and record label, Death Row record label chairman, CEO, Suge Knight, attended the Bruce Seldon Mike Tyson title boxing match at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. After the match, one of Knight's associates, Trey Lane, we spoke about him earlier, spotted Orlando Anderson at the casino. And then, Blue took off. All right, so I'll finish this up. He spotted him at the lobby. Lane told Shakur that was the guy that basically took or attempted to take his medallion. And Shakur asked Anderson if he was from the South Side and then punched him in the face, knocking him to the ground. Shakur and Knight's entourage assisted in assaulting Anderson. The fight was captured on MGM Grand video surveillance, and I had it and I posted. So what I basically do is I'll get clips, or when I pull up videos that we watch are typically ones that I create, and then I upload them to YouTube, and we'll watch them. They're just not listed. Similar to, like, for instance, the ABC podcast that we listened to the day before yesterday. That was my edit that I uploaded to YouTube. That's just not listed. I did the same with the security surveillance, and unfortunately it got like a community strike because you can actually see the entourage kicking Orlando Anderson on the ground, and so it would not allow me to play it. It got taken down, so we won't be able to see that. But if you search for it, I'm sure you can find where you see the surveillance of Tupac's entourage jumping Orlando Anderson. Have you ever seen that, Big Blue?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time, but I remember seeing it.
Gotcha.
I had to go get a beast.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you know what? Real quick, I want to remind everybody, or I want to tell everyone on Monday, we're going to have a special guest. She's one of the newest members in our chat. I'm going to try to go up to it. Her name is Sonia D. She will be here on Monday. She is one of our special guests. You want to hit that like and subscribe button. This is her. She is on TikTok, has over 80,000 followers. And just the other day, this image was on her TikTok. For those that follow the Brian Koberger case, this area might look familiar. This is from surveillance camera from the 1112 King Road residence in front of the 1122 King Road residence, where the victims, Xana, Ethan, Maddie, and Kaylee, where their lives were taken. This is the King and Queen Road intersection where, according to the probable cause affidavit, vehicle does a turnaround, 3-point turnaround. We're going to be talking about the origins of this screenshot of the surveillance, and where's the other surveillance? This is supposedly from the night, if this timestamp is correct, of 11/13/2022 at 01:56. This is right around the time that Kaylee and Maddie should be getting dropped off by the rideshare. Don't want to miss it. We have Sonia coming up then. Make sure you like and subscribe. So, where were we, Big Blue?
We were talking about when we jumped the was it?
Oh yeah, so they jumped the guy, right? And basically, long story short, Tupac ends up going back to his hotel. He was staying at the Luxor. He disclosed to his girlfriend, Kata Jones, his involvement in the Anderson fight, and basically said that, according to movies, documentaries, and things of that nature, advised her that it would probably be in her best interest and safer for her to stay at the hotel versus go to the Club 662, which was owned by Suge Knight, where it was scheduled that Tupac was to perform that night as a concert. So afterwards, Pac changes. He goes from that, I guess he was wearing like an orange button-up shirt to like a green basketball-style jersey. And Pac and Knight are in a black BMW driven by Death Row Records, Suge Knight, a convoy of about 10 cars, and headed out to the nightclub. And there is a picture, and everybody knows about. This is the last picture, I believe, of Tupac. Now, a lot of people, and I think they're wrong, but a lot of people say that this is fake, right? Or not so much fake, but that it was orchestrated. And they look at the key ignition and say, there's no keys in the ignition. That where's he going if the car's not on? Because the ignition is empty. I think there's a key there. That looks like a key to me.
Yeah.
Does that look like a key?
It looks like there's no like keychain, but it looks like there is something in the key fob or the key thing.
Right. It does look like the back end of the key fob, right?
Yeah.
So this is the last picture of Tupac alive.
That's before push button starts.
Yeah. Yeah. So these guys head out to the nightclub, right? A white Cadillac with 4 men inside pull alongside the BMW while it was stopped at a red light at the intersection of East Flamingo Road and Koval Lane and in front of the Maximum Hotel. One person opened fire, drilling the passenger side of Knight's car with bullets, hitting Shakur. He is shot 4 times, at least twice in the chest. He is sitting in the passenger seat. Suge Knight was grazed by either a bullet fragment or maybe perhaps some shrapnel from the car to his head. Shakur would pass away from his injuries 6 days later on September 13, 1996 at the University Medical Center in LA. 6 months after his death, Notorious B.I.G. his life was taken in a drive-by shooting by an unknown assailant in Los Angeles. And so a lot of people have speculated that the two of those situations coexist.
Yeah.
All right, so we've caught up to the part where Pac passed away. So do you think any of this could have been avoided? Or how do you think it could have been avoided? Obviously it could have. How do you think it could have been avoided?
I mean, I thought they were, if I remember right, they were having trying to have peace talks, and they just kept falling apart. It's hard when if you're affiliated with gangs, man. They're not gonna let it go.
Mm-hmm.
So because if you do, you look like a punk, and you can't be part of the crew.
Yeah.
But when you're making money and you're trying to bring your buddies up, sometimes you have to let that part of your life go. I think they couldn't, man. It all depends. Like I always like the saying, you be careful who you surround yourself with. You know what I mean? Who your friends are, because sometimes you can bring the wrong friends around and things happen.
100%, man. I mean, if you go back to the very beginning, back to 1993, and Pac might hang out with Jimmy Henchman, he listens to Notorious B.I.G. according to the movie at least, and and he decides to back away from that situation. Then the shooting at Quad Studios doesn't occur. The blame game that Biggie and Puffy had something to do with it doesn't occur. this East Coast West Coast battle don't occur, I think 2 lives are saved. I think that's where it started off with. You know what I'm saying? I think that was the pivotal point where the domino fell and just started this chain reaction of just bad crap happening in somebody's life. You know,
Yeah.
now he had plenty of opportunities to change it. He had the financial means, the opportunity, things of that nature for him to change the course of where he went. His decisions to continue to, um, you know, push towards some sort of gangbang image is what, in my opinion, caused him to go down further down this, what inevitability what would end up happening.
Yeah.
Um, because there's a lot of guys that have come forward saying that he went backwards. He was a guy that wasn't a gangbanger, that got affiliated with gangbangers, and then ended up getting a mob tattoo. And then, if you go listen to Live and Die in LA, that song, there's a specific verse where he's just naming down all of
Yeah.
the Blood Pyru members that he knows. And so, definitely, I think that probably could have changed some stuff. What do you think, Big Blue?
Yeah, man. I mean, he had a good, I would say, head on his shoulders from the way his mom's described, and then I think he also had a good schooling. And I mean, he went to theater art school, not just you know a, a regular school in a bad neighborhood. So he had a good upbringing. He had a good head on his shoulders. He was a smart guy,
Mm-hmm.
but just hanged around with the wrong people. It's like I always remember my 21st birthday, right? It was a crazy night. We went out to the bars. We went, it was a hip hop bar we went to, so it was always, rowdy. People would always end up getting in fights and stuff. And I always remember one of the last times I hanged out with an old friend of mine was the next morning. We drank till like 8 in the morning. I mean, we killed like 3 bottles.
Yeah.
And we went to go get pizzas or something in the morning, like at noon or something. We went to go get Little Caesars, and we went with an old friend of ours, and we went in his car, and some kid sat on his hood, right? And like normal people would be like, "Hey, man, get off the hood," but this guy's like, without like, I saw him reach for something, and he pulls out his Glock, and he just cocks it and tells the kid, "Get off my hood." I'm like, "Whoa, bro!" Like. He's like a teenager skateboarding and sat on your hood. You could have shoot him off instead of pulling the gun out. Now we're like, what if he had a gun? You know what I mean? I'm in the passenger seat just looking at a gun, like, oh my god, this fool. So yeah, man, you gotta be careful who you hang out with. Sometimes you don't know.
For sure, dude. Birds of a feather flock together, and guilty by association are true statements, my man. Willie says, have you ever looked into Big L's death by any chance? I don't think I have. I might need to. I know the Tupac case because I am a huge fan of Tupac Shakur. That's a guilty pleasure of mine. I listen to Tupac when I work out, things of that nature. So I have dived deep into the conspiracy. I've dived deep into the persons who were involved. I know this case probably better than I know the Koberger case. just throwing that out there. It's been a while, so I might be a little bit rusty on the details. But
This is all speculation. So this is the first time I heard that.
Oh my gosh, that would have been crazy. Imagine if Tupac was there. He probably yeah, that would have been crazy. So this guy here that's on the screen, that is Orlando Anderson. This is the guy that is suspected to have committed this crime. He passed away May 29th, 1998 at Martin Luther King Jr. Community Hospital from gunshot wounds to his chest during a gang-related shootout in Compton. The crazy thing about it, though, is before his passing, he would testify in Suge Knight's favor. So remember that video that I spoke about where you could see Suge Knight, Tupac, and the entourage beating oh boy here up? Well, at the time, Suge Knight was on probation or parole, one of the two. And this incident was a violation of that. And so he ended up paying Orlando Anderson couple of tens of thousands of dollars. I think it was like 60 or 50,000. I can't remember off the top of my head. But he paid him several tens of thousands of dollars to go and say that Suge Knight was actually trying to stop the fight, not be a contributor to it. And even though he stated that it didn't work, Suge Knight ended up still having his parole or probation taken away. What's that? Is that your phone, Luke? You don't mind putting that on?
Yeah, I thought I put it on silent.
No, it's all right, man. All right, so a year after the incident occurred, it was initially investigated by Sergeant Kevin Manning, who stated that basically the case may never be solved. The case was slow. He said there was few clues and witnesses were clammed up. Nobody wanted to talk, including Suge Knight. He's supposedly seen the people that had committed this crime, but he was not talking. Right now, some crazy stuff ends up being found out in, when was it? It was 2000. Let me pull it up quick. I think it was in 1998, 2 years. So right after, oh man, my money on Pac versus in that fight. 2 years after the shooting, and just after Orlando Henderson passes, a gun was found, and it was turned into evidence. And it was found in the yard of one of the guys that was in Vegas with Keffe and the four. He wasn't in the car, but he was one of the guys that went from Compton to Vegas for the fight. And they found a gun in his backyard, apparently, or they found the gun in the backyard of his girlfriend. Apparently, a dog was playing with it.
Yeah, right? that's a part of the story that's crazy. And in its mouth, playing around with it.
Yeah, exactly. So, let's read this. So, gun found after his death went missing. So, 2 decades after the rapper Shakur's death, the murder still remains a mystery. Conspiracy theories have swirled for years about his state of being, from being killed to remaining in hiding. Regardless, the hip hop prodigy who died too soon has had a lasting effect on the culture. Recently, it was discovered in a document by producers from A&E's docuseries Who Killed Tupac that the gun used to kill Tupac was actually found in a citizen's backyard on May 30th, 1998. So May 29th. So this is literally the day after Orlando Henderson passes away that this gun is found in somebody's backyard. What's the likelihood of that, Big Blue? I mean, we talk about, odds here. The odds, it's not very favorable, right?
Yeah, I mean, and if they did find it, I think nowadays they should be able to, they still have it, shoot some rounds off and do some ballistics.
They did.
And they did. All right, I haven't read the story, so.
The detail came to light after producers found a police document looking into the case. At first, the 40 caliber Glock was reported to the Compton Police Department, but by 2000, the LA County Sheriff's Department took over jurisdiction and confiscated 3,800 firearms, which included that weapon. So they had it since May of 98. In 2000, they hadn't even checked it, right? In 2006, the officer who was working on the Notorious B.I.G. murder, Deputy T. Brennan, was going through records and discovered the document. He realized the address where the gun was discovered was at the home of a girlfriend of a Crip gang member who had fallen out with Tupac, according to the TV news series. It was then at that time that he ordered a ballistic testing for the Glock, and the results were a match for the weapon that was used to shoot Tupac. A&E producers claim. Tupac was shot in Vegas, so the logical thing to happen would have been for the gun to be returned to Las Vegas Police Department. But the weapon was never turned over to LVPD, where his murder remained unsolved. A federal prosecutor in the case recommended that the gun not be turned over in the case, as it would be a part of it would alert potential conspirators. What? They didn't want to return. So what do they know? They think that somebody from the Vegas Police Department was involved? I mean, that's the only potential conspirator that I can think of that could have
somebody buried it.
Well, no, think about it. So turning it over to Las Vegas would alert potential conspirators. You don't have to make it public that you found a weapon. Like, we didn't know about Richard Allen, in the Richard Allen case. We weren't aware of the bullet, that unspent round that was found between the bodies. Yeah. Right? We weren't aware of that. So they don't have to publicly notify everybody that, hey, we found the weapon. In fact, this was in 2006, and It wasn't until 2013 when that A&E docuseries or whatever came out that that this was discovered.
Yeah.
So it's not like they told the world anyways. So who are the potential conspirators that they were afraid of? And if it's because they didn't want to turn it over to the Las Vegas Police Department, are those potential conspirators the police officers of the Las Vegas Police Department?
Yeah, maybe. Like I said, I think there was a little bit of cover up because all the evidence, all the people that were there. I mean, back then there wasn't so much cameras everywhere, but I'm pretty sure there was some businesses with cameras, some street lights. I mean, street cameras for the traffic to Vegas. I think now you can't be in any street corner without being on camera anywhere. So, but back then, I don't know how it was.
Well, here's the thing. There is a report. So this incident occurred, oh gosh, I think it was like around 11:15 at night, right? 11:15 p.m. The crazy thing is that Tupac and Suge Knight were stopped at 11:05, between 11:05 and 11:10 p.m. by Las Vegas Police Department officers on bicycles for not having front license plates or not having license plates on their vehicle and for having the music too loud. They ended up finding the license plates in the trunk of the vehicle, and I think they put them on. And then that was like at 11:10. Within 5 minutes later, he shot 4 times down the street, and there's no cops to be found.
Yeah.
So,
and the thing is, somebody must have been following them or known their path or where they were going. So somebody had to.
Well, they knew he was going to go to Club 662. In fact, according to, and I was going to say this earlier, so the part of the Mob Piru gang was, so Suge Knight had hired the Mob Piru gang to be his security. One of the members of his security was a guy named Mob James Mob or something like that. And he stated on Vlad TV that he was the security at Club 662 and that he had seen Keffe D and 3 other guys show up at 662 in a white Cadillac and park there for about 10 minutes before they left. And in Keffe D's confession, he mentions that they did go to Club 662 to wait for Tupac. So those two things do jive, and they were looking for him that night because, well, Tupac beat the crap out of, well, he started the fight with Orlando Anderson and the rest of the Honor Edge, beat the crap out of him.
Yeah.
So, but I find this interesting that they didn't want to turn it over because they felt that if they did, that it would alert potential conspirators.
Yeah, man. And then to know that there was a white Cadillac there and the people who were involved, they probably, I mean, I would have destroyed those guns if it was one of mine. So I don't know why people keep their stuff, man.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Well, and maybe it's to relive the incident. I mean, one of the things that it said when it came to the this search warrant that they did over here recently, just the other day, right? It said that they were looking for basically anything about, you know, the person searching the crime, looking at the crime, reliving the incident, so to speak. Like all those things were documented in there. Reliving something like this is something that can be common, I guess. And when it comes to people who commit these type of crimes, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we see it in like serial killers and things of that nature. I'm not sure how it would work in like a gangbanger situation, if they would have the same mentality of, because it sounds like this gang, you know, especially back then where not everything was caught, so to speak. You know, there's a lot of murders that were unsolved or unfounded or didn't make any headlines because the person that was killed wasn't a famous rapper. You know, there's a lot of gang violence that happens throughout that time. So, do people get some sort of, they get off on it after a while? You know what? I don't know. So let's see. I thought I saw something in the live chat. I guess I didn't. All right, so let's continue.
Oh, the good old cassettes, man. I remember I had some of them.
Yeah,
cassettes.
Cassettes were the bomb, man. That's where the bomb.
Except when your damn cassette player would eat it up, and then you'd be like trying to pull it out really gently so it wouldn't rip it.
I want to say thank you, Never Fear Truth, for being a member for 5 months. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I told my kids, y'all have it easy. Y'all want to listen to one of the new songs? Y'all just have to ask, the I don't want to say the name because then it turns on every time I say it. Or Google, you ask them and then it plays it for you.
Oh yeah.
But before, man, yeah, you used to have to go to the store, look for the unedited version because you always wanted the unedited version. So you always had to go to like the Sam Goody or I think Kmart and Target were the ones that had the explicit, and then buy them there. Because we bought it at Wally World. It was
clean. I made that mistake. I made that mistake twice, and I was very disappointed. I was so mad because I spent all that money that I saved up to buy, and it wasn't to the the way the artist envisioned the piece to be. There was like a space there, and it used to bother me.
I always remember my the first CD I wanted. Like, I don't know why, but I didn't even know him back then. But I saw it, and my brother was with me. I said, "Can you buy this for me? I'll give you my allowance." He bought it for me, and then we played it in the car. And my mom was like, "Quita ese pinche mugrero." It was Master P.
Master P was, dude. You know who was like, speaking of Master P, but like who made the round? Snoop Dogg, dude. That guy was No Limit Soldier. He was Death Row Records. He was wasn't he like what were they called? With Juvenile, the Hot Boys or whatever records or whatever. Then where else did he go? He went somewhere else, and then now he's like reading.
He's the owner of Death Row Records now.
Yeah, now he owns Death Row. He's also reading and doing like children's books and rhymes. Oh yeah,
and now he's got cereal at Wally World.
Yeah.
Dude, on cereal brand now.
When I was in like 7th, 8th grade, I bought a No Limit Soldier ring from the mall in the middle. With the jewelry place where, I thought it was real. Freaking ring, my finger was all green. Dude, I was a kid, man. I think I was like an 8th grader. So it was good times. It was good times. True Crime Cafe with Dago comes on with $5 super chat. Did you hear about the Vegas cop from Henderson being involved allegedly? Well, I mean, if they're saying that there is some conspirators here that they're afraid to, alert, so to speak, that could be it. So this is from the A&E. Yes, rest in peace, ODB. This is from the A&E video.
Has changed his perspective. Now, Corey, what happened?
So this is Corey. This is the guy that was with in Vegas. He hung out with Keffe, Orlando Anderson, and stuff. He was not in the vehicle, allegedly, with the other 4 guys that committed the crime during the commission of the crime. But it was his girlfriend's house where the gun was found. Because at any point, there is no point in this clip where Craig here, or Corey, I'm sorry, ever states that Orlando Anderson shot Tupac or any of those things. He claims that they had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
No, let's go.
That's true.
Corey, what happened next?
Like we mentioned, this is the guy, and I have to pause this to talk because if not, we're going to get a copyright claim. All right, we have to stop and give our commentary on this. So it was found in his girlfriend's backyard. He was out there. He claims right there that there was no white Cadillac, and he does not know who went in any car. Right? Now let's continue.
Denied.
There's nothing unusual about a dog running around with a Glock in its mouth in the hood. I mean, that's just like where do you get off on that? How the hell is that normal?
No, I only see him with machetes, man. He's the upgraded version.
Oh my God. I mean, I thought I heard it all with the Sharknadoes, but apparently it's normal for pit bulls in the hood to be be, walking and patrolling the streets with a Glock in their mouth. Oh my gosh. Like,
man.
I understand you have to come out as opposition of everything. You can't agree, right? You can't get too much stuff agreeing, because then it's going to be an issue. But in this situation, to come out and say, no, it's pretty normal. I don't know, man. That's hilarious to me.
Stood out about that gun.
But to me, the key to this,
It stood out about that streets of Compton back then. It's a Glock, and Glocks weren't unusual. There's really nothing that stood out about that gun.
but to me, the key to this case is evidence. And if you can find the murder weapon, that's a major break in the case.
And so, if you guys want to see that, that's Animal Capone 7, something like that. So they end up going and talking back and forth with Las Vegas, try to figure out why it went out there, why it didn't go out there. But what ends up occurring is it goes cold until they bring on this man, Greg Kading. Oh man, Busy Bone Thugs and Harmony was.
Yeah, they were just in town last year, man. I missed it.
Really?
Yeah, D-Rock came out with them. Like he opened for them.
Dang, that's crazy. I would have gone if I would have known. Nah, probably not. I got the kids. So this is Greg Kading. He's a detective was a detective with the LAPD. He's now been retired. He, in 2006, was initially assigned to the Notorious B.I.G. case due to a pending lawsuit with the city of Los Angeles and Notorious B.I.G.'s mother. Basically was claiming that there was LAPD possible involvement in the passing of her son. And this was due to another detective, his name escapes me off the top of my head, he's passed away now, who theorized and claimed that perhaps Suge Knight had hired crooked off-duty LAPD officers to do his bidding, and perhaps even had something to do with the passing of Biggie Smalls. And so because they were investigating that crime, and they were looking at a couple of things, one of it was that perhaps maybe the Southside Crips had something to do with it. And during that investigation, they started to come across the Tupac investigation. Now, one of the biggest questions that comes about this is the jurisdiction. Tupac passed away in Las Vegas. He's an LAPD officer. How does he have jurisdiction to, one, investigate this crime, or even offer, for instance, the proffer deal that was offered later on to Keffe D in exchange for his testimony? And so the explanation that Greg Kading comes up with is that he believes that there was a murder for hire situation that occurred in Los Angeles, which gives them jurisdiction, even though the crime would end up coming out or happen in Vegas. So they looked at when they looked at Tupac's situation, they looked at two theories. There was the Suge Knight had something to do with it because Tupac was leaving, and this is from Greg Kading's own mouth, that they looked at that theory, and that right away they threw that theory out. It didn't make any sense, to hire somebody, especially a gangbanger. Like, that's not a trained assassin. You're not hiring a sniper. You're hiring somebody that possibly doesn't even hold the gun straight, right? So there's a good chance the accuracy isn't there. Are you really going to want to stand or be in the same car next to a 165-pound man when you're well over 300 pounds and 6'6"? I think he almost made it to the pros as a NFL lineman. So it really didn't make any sense. He was actually hit in the head as well. So they were able to rule that out right away, and they were left with the Southside Crips. They looked into the white Cadillac and were able to identify, the four guys that were in the car through the Keffe D's basically confession. Now, what ended up happening was they built up a drug case against Keffe D. They built up a case for distribution to PCP, large amounts of white powder, and wiretapping crimes, which would have given him life in prison. And so what they did was they offered him a proffer agreement. A proffer agreement is a written agreement between the prosecutor and a defendant or prospective witness that allows the defendant or witness to give the prosecutor information about an alleged crime while limiting the prosecutor's ability to use that information against him or her. In this situation, the deal was that he was to give his accounts of what occurred the night that Tupac Shakur was shot in Las Vegas, and that if anything comes out later on to be false, any aspect of it, that his testimony that he made could be used against him, plus the charges that were dropped in connections with the drug charges and the wiretapping crimes could be then tried for those crimes. And so it is a huge incentive for Keffe D to be very honest in this situation. And in this, I did have the dang interview with Tupac and I didn't play it. But let's see. Give me a sec. How can I do this? So this is part of the
Keffe, today what we're going to do, we're just going to go over with a fine-tooth comb the Las Vegas incident, because we're going to draft up our report as regarding that specific thing. And then we're going to cover a few other things that we do have to emphasize to you, that everything in this report has to be right on, because if down the road it's determined that some of these details are incorrect, then everything's off the table. So everything in this report cannot be like that report.
Hey, I want to say this though too. I feel like I said that day, don't bullshit me, and I won't bullshit y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, Lane starts blasting. You say Suge looks over, he sees you.
Yeah.
He looks right at you.
Yeah, he looks at me.
Okay. Why are you looking right at me?
Fucking known each other since we were 7, 8 years old.
When he looks over at you, and then Tupac's busy getting shot. Evidently, the story is Tupac's trying to either get out
In
of
the back seat or something.
Yeah, what do you see happening inside there?
I seen a bullet going Suge head. I thought he was dead.
So Orlando shot him across Dre?
He leaned over on the window. We rolled down the window, popped.
Who was it?
They was drove on my side. I was popping. You know what I'm saying? But they was on the other side.
Right.
So that's from Vlad TV. I recommend going and watching that. That's with Greg Kading, and they're talking about that's just a brief clip of Keffe D's confession. In his confession, he basically states that they went to Las Vegas to go to the fight, and that that the reason that they went to the fight had nothing to do with Tupac. There was never like the goal was out there to hurt or fight or assassinate Tupac Shakur. It was just to go to the fight. That was something that they did. What they typically did was they would buy single tickets and then separate. They wouldn't sit together. And the reason they would do that was because it was less expensive. So they would be separated throughout the entire arena, but would have the opportunity to go out there. He states that prior to their trip to Vegas, that Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, allegedly had put out a murder for hire, a hit for $1 million for the life of Tupac Shakur and for the life of Suge Knight. So they end up going to the MGM Grand for the fight. They separate. And that's kind of how they were able to find Orlando Anderson by himself, is because they were still separated. The goal was to meet at a certain location after the fight, and that's what they were doing when they ran into Tupac and his entourage. Afterwards, they decided to go to Club 662 to take care of business. They were hanging out there for a little bit. He never showed up. They decided to leave. As they were leaving and they were driving down the street, they heard girls yelling, Tupac, Tupac, out of a convertible vehicle. And then they see Tupac hanging out of the BMW. They do a U-turn, come back around. He states that the individual that was sitting, that would have had the best, shot against Tupac, didn't want to do it. So Orlando Anderson chose to cross his body to do so. So this is the way they were situated in the white Cadillac. So you have the BMW here. You have Suge Knight driving, Tupac Shakur here. In the white Cadillac, you had 4 occupants. Driving was Terrence T. Brown. Front passenger was Duane Keffe D. Davis. Behind the driver was DeAndre Dre Smith, who refused to shoot, even though he had the probably the best opportunity to. And behind Keffe D was Orlando Anderson, who decided to, according to Keffe D and his confession, take the gun, reach over DeAndre Dre Smith, and shoot multiple times in the direction of Tupac's vehicle. They stated that they left and that they were given chase by some of the entourage, and ended up taking off and then going and partying the rest of the night. So they did mention that they had gotten the gun from a guy named Zip, who had reminded them of before they went out there and obviously killed Tupac, they were reminded by Zip of the $1 million hit, and they thought that they could take care of 2 stones, take care of the assault on Baby Lane and get the $1 million hit by taking care of Tupac that night. Apparently, supposedly, the he never got paid. Keffe D, he was supposed to have gotten paid. There was a middleman, I think it was Zip, that P. Diddy had given $500,000 to because it was only half of the bounty that was done. But he never received that money. That guy pocketed the money and never came out. So now we're caught up after an hour and 15 minutes. How do you feel about the case, Big Blue? Do you think that all right, so police go, they search a house related to Keffe D. He's the guy that has come out and said some things. Now, they can't use anything that they said against him because of that agreement unless something comes out that it was a lie, right? And so if he didn't lie and they're searching, and everybody else that was in this car, I forgot to mention this, everybody else in this car has passed away. DeAndre Dre Smith is no longer here. Terrence Brown is no longer. I think he passed away from like cancer or something. And Orlando Anderson passed away 2 years after Pac's death. So everybody's passed away.
That's what I was going to say. There's nobody that can cooperate who actually helped the gun. He's blaming it on a dead man. Dead man can't talk. So
true. But if he's not lying, let's just say he's saying the truth, and they can't go after him. Who do you think they could be going after? Wouldn't it be the person that hired them? You think there's going to be a warrant for Diddy soon?
They can probably try to go for try to do the contract, but it'd be hard to trace unless there's paperwork, man. The money. They would have to. Well, trace
maybe that's
money.
Maybe that. So they took computers. They looked for laptops. They looked for a bunch of stuff that could probably show a paper trail. Maybe, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he's been like threatening, hey, where's my money? Or maybe there's bank records on there that show maybe he did get a payment and he's just saying that he didn't. So it's hard to tell, man.
It is, dude. And it's one of those things where it's like how much of this can you really believe? Because let's just say it didn't go down that way. Let's just say Keffe D is the one that actually pulled the trigger. Like, how do we know that's true or not?
Yeah, as I said, the other guys can't defend themselves.
Exactly. And the one person who saw this, who could come forward and talk, is sitting behind bars right now on, for murdering his friend, running him over. I believe it was at the set of NWA is when it occurred, right?
I think I thought there was a music video, or they were like leaving a restaurant or something. Yeah, it was mad.
Dude. Well, it may have been at a restaurant, but I think it was he was going to the set of NWA, the docu film, and he apparently was like threatening people because he wanted to get paid for, his portrayal in the film. And supposedly the rumor goes that they set him up. They said, all right, Ice Cube said, I'll meet you at some place. And when he showed up, people started popping out with guns, and he got scared, popped it in reverse, and took off. And when he took off, he ran over his friend.
Yeah.
That's the story that I've heard when it comes to that. and ended up, charging him for the deal. Do you think that he maybe perhaps, but then he would be considered a snitch, and I think that's the one thing he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to be considered a snitch. Is come forward and say he knows more about this situation, because they can't use Keffe D's words against him, right? But they can. That doesn't mean they can't charge him. They just can't use that or anything that comes out of that. It's like the fruit of the poisonous tree, right? So if you have a situation where, like for instance, this is a pretty good example. Let's just say that I suspect somebody of doing a crime, and I tell you, Blue, hey, I suspect Jaime of committing this crime. I think there's evidence in his house or whatever the case may be, right? You break into his house and you tell me, hey, Daniel, the evidence you're looking for is in a drawer underneath his computer. Now, I can't use that because you did something illegal to find that out, right? But I can take that information and say, all right, let me, watch this person. Let me build a case against him that surrounds other evidence that will give me permission to get a warrant to go look at where you're telling me, so that way I can bypass that illegalness, so to speak, and which is kind of like what's going on in the Brian Koberger case, so to speak, when you look at that genetic tree. And the same scenario could happen. If somebody did something illegal to get some information and told somebody, hey, this is the person you're looking for, they couldn't use that. It doesn't necessarily mean that the information they have is not usable, but they couldn't use that information based on how they gathered it. They'd have to find a legal means of coming about the same amount of information, which is still possible. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the thing is, they can't do it without the right evidence, and to me, all the other eyewitnesses are gone, so there can't be a charge on him. But if there was, like, say Suge starts talking, then maybe they can convict him.
The only thing about that is, if I was, like, for instance, Keffe D, right, and Suge Knight is singing in jail saying, hey, it's Keffe D, I'm gonna say the only reason he's saying it's me is because I was of a rival gang, and he's trying to get out of prison. He's had 30 years, almost 25 years, somewhere around there, to say that it was him. And it's, he decides to wait to the moment that he's incarcerated for murder before he decides to come up with the story. That's what I would say if I was Keffe D's lawyers. And I think they would have an argument there.
Yeah. But, there's no camera footage, and back then there was, I guess, a lot less surveillance, but unless another eyewitness would come up and say, hey, I saw him, but it's hard to tell who's in the car. So I think the case is just going to lay as it is.
Well, here's the thing, though. According to Keffe D's confession, he stated that the white Cadillac was a rental vehicle that was shot, that had to be repaired at a body shop. Now, the body shop that he took it to was like, homie, right?
Yeah.
So it was under the table or whatever, but there should be some paperwork for that rental somewhere.
Yeah.
Some kind of documentation, financial documentation. Somebody had to have an ID attached to it.
Yeah, unless you know people and they hook you up, but I don't know.
Do you think if Keffe D goes down, do you think that P. Diddy will?
Unless they can trace money to him for the hit, I think that's the only way he can go down. But P. Diddy's got a lot of other stuff he has to worry about. I mean, there's some. If you look into him lately, there's some stories coming out from his side that don't look good for him.
There's some crazy allegations about P. Diddy. Like, if you go down,
not just allegations. I mean, like a photo was leaked the other day. I was like, "Whoa, bro!"
Yeah. There's been some crazy stuff. Like, did you hear about that Shine incident? The guy that sounded like Notorious B.I.G. Apparently, he was like at a nightclub with P. Diddy and Jennifer Lopez back in the day when he was with Jennifer Lopez, and then there was a shooting and everything got blamed on Shine. He ended up going to prison, and I think P. Diddy was supposedly the one actually who shot the gun.
I didn't hear about that one.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. And Wisdom Speaks says P Diddy has too many boyfriends. That's some of the rumors that are going out there. There was one about Mace, right? That he had pictures of himself with Mace, and he was basically holding those pictures hostage to blackmail him into, agreeing to certain terms of the contract that would make put more money in P Diddy's pockets versus Mace's.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say about P Diddy that I liked was and Get Him to the Greek. I thought that his character was hilarious and Get Him to the Greek. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
Where he's like I'm mind effing you. I got a dirty mind. So but yeah, those are some of the allegations that are out there when it comes to P Diddy that have gone on for a while.
Yeah, and then those photos, I mean, if it's a Halloween costume, the photo I saw, I was like, damn, that's kind of weird, man.
Yeah. I'm gonna what did you see here recently? I haven't seen anything that was leaked.
Yeah, there was like a photo of him like cross-dressing, like making out with like a dude, like kind of weird.
Yeah, he's kind of weird. What's this? Diddy slaps Wendy Williams for leaking. Have you heard about that?
No.
I don't know. And then there's the bodyguard alleged something with Ja Rule. There's a weird picture with some other guy. You don't want to search this.
Yeah. I got a new member.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wisdom Speaks.
Do you think that do you think that some of these weird rumors could be true about Hollywood there, Big Blue?
Hollywood is a mysterious place that money talks, man, and you can see it. You can see a lot of the old child actors, man. They have stories that they don't want to tell, but they're messed up from their childhood. Look at the famous actor that committed, I guess, Corey. Was it Corey?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and a lot of it had to do because I guess he was molested as a child actor, man.
Yeah, Corey Feldman.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah, he has some crazy accusations as well about Hollywood and child actors.
Yeah. So did I think there's a couple that came out, and I think Drew Barrymore had a few stories, and so did, but nothing. I think nothing horrible happened to her, but like Corey. But I think it was more like the boy actors had a lot of stuff happening to them.
I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't. Women, children have all been very, victims of a lot of things in Hollywood. I mean, there's movies that are going on about trafficking and things of that nature that are being brought to light. I think Mel Gibson has a film that's coming out and has something to do with something similar. I mean, it is disturbing. I mean, most people are not ready to have that conversation about the red slippers. They're just not ready about that. Neither is YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube wanted to talk about the, Epstein's Island, and the people that visited and the documentation that's somewhat there.
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff, man. So even like the other night when I was I was listening to another podcast, and I talked to Hector from I call him Hector. I don't remember his name now, from Fast and the Furious, right?
Yeah, you should probably know his name.
I know, man. I remembered his name when I talked to him on the show, but like right now I just remember him
because it was.
And but he was
Dude,
talking
his name
about
is Noel.
Noel, yes. But and every movie comes out, he's Hector. Okay. He was saying, it's a lot of shady stuff that happens in Hollywood that he don't trust it either. Most of the time, it's a lot about contracts and money, but sometimes it's other stuff.
Oh, dude, Jamie Foxx is another one. He came out, like, people are saying that he's being cloned. Have you seen that?
Well, I see that he has a new movie coming out. I thought he'd been like in a coma or something.
Yeah. Well, he came out on something, and it's like super far away, and he's like waving at people or whatever. But it's like super far away, and a lot of people are saying that it's a body double or it's a clone.
But the thing is, a lot of people have been a lot of people do drugs, man, and there's been a lot of fentanyl.
A lot of people do drugs. Is that
I don't know. I don't say he did drugs, but there's a lot of stuff laced with fentanyl, and you see a lot of people going very downhill. A lot of stuff happening to them, and they're blaming all these aneurysms and.
Well, he was blaming. It seemed like he was blaming the jab, my man.
Yeah.
Because there's been, you got to admit, there's been a weird, and then, you know what? It could just be, the population's increasing, right? So, 10% of something is going to grow when the amount of the group is increased. So, for instance, if you only have 100 people, 10% is only going to be 10 folks. But as the population grows, 100 people, when you have 1,000 people, 10% of that is 100. So it seems like a lot, but when you look at the percentage of the population that's around, it may not.
Yeah. But like the jab, it wears off, man.
I don't know, man. I saw this weird documentary where they pulled some weird shit out of some people.
I've had 3 of them, and I haven't had anything happen to me. And next thing you know, I die. But don't
say that out here, dude. We'll get kicked off. But I'm not saying it's the jab. I'm not saying it's that at all. But there was some articles and some stuff that was put out there that indicated that he claimed that he didn't want to take the jab. He was not wanting to do that, but because of this movie, he was kind of forced to. And then afterwards, he ends up having some sort of medical emergency.
Yeah. I mean, I felt ill for a day. That's about it. But, everybody's body reacts different to medications. And, especially depending on what there was in the beginning, people getting blood clots from some of it, but it also has to do a lot. He travels a lot in planes. All that stuff gives you higher risk factors, man, especially when you're flying from set to set.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I fly a lot, so I'm definitely not going to be.
Yeah, you're more potential of getting a blood clot from flying in a plane or driving long distances, sitting down for long periods of times. So all that is a factor to causing blood clots.
Well, I don't fly around that much. Hopefully, I try to stay active.
Yeah, I saw that today. I was looking at the news. I got hit by a tornado.
It's like that one time where it's convenient, right? Like that one time where part of the Pentagon got hit by a plane.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations where, who knows, man? Conspiracies are awry. But I'm skeptical, but in nature, I don't trust anybody. Like, for instance, I was having a conversation with, I can't even remember who, but it was probably on YouTube. But it was referencing UFOs, and I was like, I believed in them when the government said they were fake. And now that they're coming out, they're saying that they're real. I'm very skeptical. I'm like, I don't know about this. I don't trust anything that the government is telling me anymore. So I was like, it's a distraction.
Especially right now. I mean, the powder on the disc was a donut that one of the guests came by. One of the
at the White House. It happened again.
But here's the thing: like they get passed through security. They go through dog and drug sniffing dogs. they can get it through the security like that. They have some crappy security at the White House. I'm talking about if it's a tourist that accidentally left it on the table.
Dude, we need to make a movie with this as the main plot. Compton the aliens.
Well, there is. Well, no, it's vampires in New York, where like the gangsters are all beating up the vampires. So
was that Vampire in Brooklyn with Eddie Murphy?
No, it's a newer one.
Oh. Dude, aliens to Compton. Hey, if Sharknado could make it. I mean, what's more logical?
Like 10 movies, I think, or something. Like they're up there.
What's more logical, that a tornado is going to somehow throw sharks as missiles, or aliens somehow landing in the hard streets of Compton looking for a fight? I mean, who knows?
Well, they'll find it there. Especially if they're dressed in red or blue, or their skin color is that color.
Dude, they pull up in the wrong sporting colors.
You're like, what's the blood doing the Crip side?
Right. Which the funniest alien movie I've ever seen. Funniest alien movie is Neighborhood Watch.
Okay.
Have you seen it? Paul. No, Paul's good, but I think Neighborhood Watch is better.
Well, I like the English actors. Oh man, what Drink Around the World or something?
Yeah.
Okay. But Neighborhood Watch is funny.
So, the funniest part about Neighborhood Watch, right, is that the aliens bleed, or blood is green, and the texture they say is very similar to. How can I say this without being weird? Male jizz.
Yeah.
Right. So that's probably the nicest way I could say it. Right. So there's this part where they hit an alien and there's green blood all over the place. And that green blood. No, I'm sorry. It's not that part. There's a part where this guy cuts his arm to show he's an alien. I'm sorry. Cuts his arm to show he's an alien, and he's bleeding green. The fact that he's bleeding green isn't enough to determine that he's an alien. It's that they had to feel it and check the consistency to determine that it felt like that type of consistency to determine that he was an alien. I thought that was the most hilarious thing in the world, dude. I was laughing for a while. Y'all have to watch it. We gotta watch that. We gotta watch that again.
It's funny. I remember I seen it. It's with Seth Rogen, right?
Nah, man. It's with Jonah Hill.
Jonah, yeah.
Jonah Hill, Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn. It's classic, dude. It's got all the. If it had Seth Rogen, it would have been top tier, man.
I was thinking of the other one, the End of the World, where they have like 10 tenements, like a pet.
My virgin ears. But yeah, that movie there, dude, I thought was freaking hilarious. I thought it was funny. But like, I also have like comedy is my favorite type of genre when it comes to movies. What's yours, Big Blue?
I like zombies.
You like zombies? You like horror? You like to get scared?
Horror movies.
Don't tell some of the YouTube creators you like scary movies, because they might think you're.
We might come out on a scary movie.
We might, dude.
Yeah, I was talking to him the other day, and he said he's working on it, man.
So if you were, let's talk about this real quick. So for those that are watching, all 245 of you guys, we've had on a film producer and a filmmaker on our show before. He's a good friend of ours. He's going to put us in a movie that he's creating. So you might see us on the silver screen. But if they were going to, do a horror movie, Big Blue, what part would you want to play? Would you want to play the hero, the villain, the comedic relief, the damsel in distress?
I gotta be the damsel in distress.
Yeah, we know that. We know that.
When I know we asked that question before, and I always said I was going to be the the hero. But,
you want to be the hero,
but the damsel in distress sounds a lot more.
It sounds a lot fun. I mean, Jaime could be the hero, though. And it's a 50-50 shot. You might be saved by somebody you don't want. But so let's just say you had to portray the villain in a scary movie. You were the scary person. Would you be the zombie, a vampire, a werewolf, a ghost? What would it be?
I would be a zombie, man.
You would do the zombie movie. You'd be the head zombie.
Yeah.
Now, would you be a traditional zombie, or would you be an Eye of Legend zombie that could freaking run like hell?
Yeah, World War Z. I am Legend.
There it is.
I can faster as a zombie than I can in real life because my joints don't work.
Hell yeah, man. See, for me, I think I'd probably end up being if I had to be the scary character like a werewolf. I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
I think I could portray that. But maybe Hyman would probably portray that more because he's a little bit hairier, But I'm thinking like the werewolf. I think I like the werewolf, but not like Teen Wolf. I'm not gonna be out there playing basketball and shit. I'm gonna be like a scary ass werewolf, man. We gotta talk to CJ. We gotta tell him our thoughts and theories on this, man.
Yeah, I talked to him last week. I jumped on his live for a little bit, just chatting.
Manic Monday.
On Manic Monday, it'd probably be Monday. This Monday they were doing he called it an Indiegogo live. So he had there's a movie that they're working on, which is a Critters reboot, and they're raising money for it, and he's gonna be in that one.
Really?
Yeah. So I think they were like $2,000 short to be able to start production, and they're trying to get some of the big actors from the original movies to come out, but they want big money. So we'll see.
Artificially AI, that dude. just like we'll put like Brad Pitt's face on our body, and we'll portray the sequel to World War Z or whatever. American Werewolf in London style. Dude, that movie was a trip too. That movie was a trip.
I thought you were trying to be more like Twilight Wolf.
Nah, dude, I want to be more humanistic. I'm not gonna be like this giant, just look like a dog that's just giant. And that's what they did, right?
One he turned into a wolf, yeah.
But it was just a giant dog, right? It wasn't like an actual werewolf. I've only seen like part of part one. Once he started to sparkle, I was like, this is not for me. No offense. I know our demographic is mostly ladies. They probably love the Twilight series. I didn't like it. I tried it, didn't like it. Did you like it, Big Blue? Were you a fan?
I watched a few of the movies.
Shit, you have the entire series.
Yeah, I have Team Edward on my thigh, and then on the other one is Team Jacob.
What was that one? The tattoo, Marty Mc. Oh, so I was watching this movie, and it was The Flash. Have you seen The Flash?
Haven't seen it yet. Looks good.
Dude, well, it has to do with time, right? Flashpoint and stuff. And there's this part where this guy has a tattoo of Marty McFly on his thigh, and he calls it Marty McThigh. You got to watch it. Me and Jaime have seen it. We want to talk about it. We're waiting on you, Big Blue. We're waiting on you.
I'll watch it. Hopefully, I'll try. I'm off for the next couple of days. I'll see if I can go see it or something.
I'll tell you what, man. I'll give you my rating before. Nah, you know what? I don't want to give you my rating because I don't want to affect your judgment.
I heard it's good, so I have to.
Maybe I should give you my rating then, because I don't think it's that good. I'll be honest with you. Underworld Blue, you can be. Oh snap! You see, Underworld, I think I would have preferred to have been a vampire in that movie. What do you think, Big Blue? Have you seen Underworld? Have you seen the series?
Yeah, it's a good series.
Well, let me rephrase that. The hybrid is pretty dope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That hybrid is pretty dope. I like the like the Lucian terms in that movie, and it's not just called like a werewolf; it's a Lucian. And there's I love the story behind Underworld. I think that one's the Underworld franchise or series or whatever you want to call it is a very underrated in my opinion. I think it's one of the better ones.
I better be careful. I might go watch the wrong movie.
The Flasher. Dude, those things, that happens more often than you think. That happened to me one time, man. I rented the wrong Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Fortunately, I caught it, before like watching it with the family, because that would have been embarrassing. This is when I was young. I'm not talking about like my kids. I'm talking about watching it with my parents and shit. But the crazy thing is, they like rented it out to me. I was like a teenager, I think, when I rented it.
Why is Jack Sparrow's name wrong? It's like Jack Backblow or something,
It was like Jack Swallow. That's some funny stuff, man. That's some funny stuff. So, all right, we talked about the horror movie. If you, and I know we're over an hour. I hope you guys don't mind. We're just shitting the breeze now that we're done talking about Tupac. But if you were in a comedy movie, what kind of comedy movie would it be? Would it be like stupid funny, like Dude, Where's My Car? Would it be like
it would
Seth
be
Rogen
like
film?
Old School.
Like Old School? Yeah, that's my favorite movie, man.
Frank the Tank, man.
Yeah. Old School was good. Mine would be Superbad, man.
That's a good one too.
Dude, I freaking love that movie. I watched Superbad. Like I knew every word for I don't know how long. I think I was up 25 when I was still saying it's senior year. Fuck it. Because that was part of the behind the scenes Superbad. He says senior year, and when they're cutting the boards, when they're going to go get when Evan is telling Seth about the fake ID that McLovin got. And so, dude, that was a classic movie. That was a classic movie.
We're going streaking.
That was funny too, man. But like Old School was funny. That was probably one of my first funny movies that I really got into. I started to really follow like Will Ferrell and stuff. But Superbad was the shit. Hangover's a good one. Hangover's a really good one.
Oh man.
Have you seen anything recently that makes you laugh like that though? I think people are too afraid to get offended nowadays that comedy's kind of taking a dip, man.
Yeah, there hasn't been too many funny ones where like even like some of the Kevin Hart movies, I don't think they're that funny no more. They used to be a blast. I haven't seen anything where I say, "Oh man, that was the funniest thing I've seen in a while. I have to watch it again." I haven't seen that. I like Old School funny.
Yeah. There's nothing like there was like an Old School, man. Like Blue, which you're my boy Blue, and then you had the when they threw down the what was it, that weighted cylinder block? It goes through the sewer.
Oh yeah.
The other guys, that one's hilarious too. I'm a peacock sergeant. You gotta let me fly.
Dodgeball.
Yep. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was trying to see what comedy that I just watched that I think, oh man, that was hilarious. I'm having trouble finding one in my head.
So do you think that you could be well versed as an actor, Big Blue, that you can take on a role as a zombie one film, a damsel in distress in the second film?
Yeah.
And then the comedic relief in a third.
This is 2023. You can do anything.
I mean, we've seen your dance moves in the intro. We definitely know you can do anything, Big Blue. But yeah, for me, I think I probably could pull off maybe the comedic stuff or the horror thing. Do you think that if you were to be in a movie, do you think you'd have to stick to some sort of stereotype? You know, I mean, that was one of the things that Noel, that you know as Hector, was talking about on his podcast, that him being a Hispanic male, bald, comes with like the cholo type of stereotype. Do you think that you could beat the stereotype, Big Blue?
I think I can. Only because he does look like an average cholo, man. Like, and it's hard to foresee him as something else. Like he came out and he came out in Flaming Hot, right? Right? Was him? I think it was him.
I don't know if he came out in Flaming Hot. Did he? I don't think so.
I think he was one of the workers.
I don't think so. He could have been. I mean,
I remember I saw it like a month ago.
Dude, Flaming Hot was a freaking good movie, dude.
Yeah, it was. It was a good movie.
And it's about flaming hot Cheetos before anybody who hasn't seen it gets any weird ideas.
Yeah, it's not about flaming hot flamingos or something. That was another good one.
That one's a good one.
But yeah, man, like, it's the way his mustache is cut. It's the way his, like, maybe if he grew his mustache differently, didn't wear the white t-shirt or the button-ups like the way they, the cholo pants. Dressed up a little bit different, then yeah, I would see him in a different. Maybe grew out his hair, but he probably don't have hair, so he shaves it.
You know what he's gonna have to do? You know what he's gonna have to do? He's gonna have to create his own movie. That's the same thing that Sylvester Stallone did. He created Rocky. They wanted to buy Rocky off of him. He wouldn't sell it. He wanted to be the actor. He wanted to be the star. Same thing happened when Vin Diesel. They wanted to stereotype him as well.
Yeah, Zombieland was funny. I like that.
Dude, 21 Jump Street. The funniest part, I think it's 22 Jump Street, is when he's like, "My name is Jeff." Like
that is funny. I like that part.
That was the most hilarious thing out of all of the movies of there. It's like, "My name is Jeff." He's like, and then Jonah Hill's like, "Tell us this detailed story," and he's not even sounding. He sounds like Italian or something.
Yeah, he sounds Italian.
Oh my gosh, man, that one was funny. I'm not gonna lie. And then he was like, "My name is Jeff."
As I said, I was watching a little clip on TikTok where they were talking about Channing Tatum and all the crazy roles that he plays. So I guess he was saying that I think it was "This Is the End" or something. I think they put on there. Where Channing Tatum is like the guy's pet, like his pet slave or something.
Yeah.
And Seth wrote the part in, but he's like, "We're shooting this like in a week. Nobody's gonna take it in short notice." And then I think Jonah's like, "I think Channing will do it." And then he said that he was talking in an interview where they said, he's like, "Yeah, I think I had like way too many cranberry vodkas or something, and I took the phone call in the middle of that, and I said yes." So it's a funny role, man.
You're crazy, Big Blue. Hold on. All right, hold on. Let me find this real quick.
You're gonna get the clip out. We're gonna get copyrighted.
I don't want to play the. I'm not playing the. I'm not gonna play the video because the video will definitely get us copyright. But you can hear it, right?
Yeah.
My name is Jeff.
Oh, dude. Back when Anchorman used to be one of my favorites too. And when that movie came out, I had changed my voicemail to when Ben Stiller comes out in Anchorman, during that part where everybody's like all the news stations are in a battle. You remember that? You've seen Anchorman, right?
Yeah.
And Ben Stiller pops out, and he's part of like Channel 6 Spanish News, and he comes out saying, "¿Cómo estás, bitches?" It's whoever from Channel 6 News. That was my voicemail for like 2 years, dude. Like whenever somebody called me and I didn't answer, it would say, "¿Cómo estás, bitches?" Oh man, it was some good times. It was some good times.
That was a good movie. 40-year-old version. And then the other one that I like that has some funny parts is This Is 40. That was a good one.
That one was good.
And then the one with the guy from The Office. What's his name? Well, he's playing 40-Year-Old Virgin, but he did another one with
Oh man, Steve Carell.
Steve Carell. He did another one where uh, they bring dumb people to the dessert dinner.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
That was like one of my favorite funny ones.
that one was funny. Yeah, I know which one you're talking
What?
about. It was
Something people or something.
yeah. It was the dinner. Yeah, I just saw it
Dinner
too.
for Idiots or something. See, the guys that made Hot Fuzz, that combo, those guys, they're one of my favorite comedic duos. Dinner for Schmucks. Yeah, that's it.
There it is. Dinner for Schmucks. Hold on, listen to this. Let's see if it plays it. That used to be my voicemail, dude. That was my voicemail for a while. Good times. Oh, here it is. This is the right one. Nope, it is not the right one. Fortunately, you guys are not seeing that. Let's see. This is 40. The sex tape is fun. Dude, have you seen Zach and Miri make a porno?
That's a good movie.
Dude, that shit's funny too, man. Like there's so many funny movies that were out there, but like I said, these are all like what, 8-10 years old. I don't think very many of them are new.
There hasn't been a lot of new ones where I say, "Oh man, I gotta watch it again."
Well, there was that one where I can't remember what it is, but it was like Bridesmaids, maybe I think is what it was called, and I think some lady took a dump in a wedding dress in the street by accident. She ate a laxative or something. I think is that the movie I'm thinking about?
I want to say, I thought that was from 40-Year-Old Virgin, but that was when she don't feel good in the restroom.
I think it's Bridesmaids, where she accidentally takes a laxative or something while she's trying on wedding dresses, and it turns into a horrible mistake. I could be wrong. I don't think I saw the whole movie. I think I've only seen that part of it.
The other one that I did think was funny was it's a Kevin Hart when it was Night School. I think it's called Night School.
Oh yeah. I remember that one.
That one was pretty funny.
Kevin Hart he has some that are funny, but they're like today's funny, where it's like, not saying that offending people is funny. That's not what I'm saying at all. But they're super sensitive to things so that they don't offend anyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was Bridesmaids. Poop. There it is. There it is. I knew you guys would know which one it was. Wedding Crashers. That one's a funny one too.
Oh yeah.
Man, there's some good movies I want to go back and watch. You know which movies that I also thoroughly enjoy? I like movies that make you think, that are like trippiest. Like what was it, like Shutter's Island, something like that, with Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh
yeah, that's a good one. But this one, that's a true statement. It can't be made these time of days.
Oh nah, you couldn't. That's one that might get freaking banned one day.
Yeah, I like when they're talking about
Inception's a good one.
What are they talking about when he played Sam? I Am Sam or something. They're saying he didn't just go retarded; he went super retarded or something. So, it's hilarious.
Yeah, it is, man. It is. There's a lot of them. There's so many, but there was one movie. If you guys have not seen it, it's trippy. It makes you think. I figured it out right away, and it was weird. But it's a movie called Predestination? No, hold on, I'm gonna find it. With Ethan Hawke, about time travel, I think. Predestination. Yes. If you haven't seen that movie, go watch that movie. Go watch this movie. It's a sci-fi action movie. It's from 2014. It stars Ethan Hawke, Sarah Snook, Olivia Sprague. It's a really good film. Pretty crazy, and it's one of those. It's like
you can't leave Nacho out, man.
Oh, dude, Nacho!
Get that corn out of my face. That was like
Dude, Skeleto is hilarious. He's like, you only hate me because I believe in science.
Yes.
Predestination, though. This is a movie. This is y'all's homework. Y'all got to watch this movie. Let me see if I can find
See what's another one? I mean, I always liked like Unbreakable uh, Glass that came out with the second. It was good.
this is it. This is the Predestination movie that I want everybody to watch. And you know what? You know what series is good, Big Blue? Because I like time travel. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I love time travel, and so this one's good. And the series 11.22.63. It's with James Franco. He
Oh yeah.
travels back in time to try to prevent the assassination of JFK.
Yes.
Freaking phenomenal series. Phenomenal. You won't want to miss it. You won't want. Deja Vu is a good one too.
I think another one, Pineapple Express, is a classic one. That was a good one.
That one, you won't. You might. No, you won't regret it. You really won't. It's a good movie. What about the Butterfly Effect? Is a good one too. That one was crazy. The Butterfly.
Your mic's going crazy.
Huh?
Oh yeah, there you go. I see your mic was going crazy.
Dang it.
Nah, see, I like comedies, I like horrors, but some of my favorites are classic, drama, action. So I like Gladiator, Braveheart. Those are some of my favorites.
See, I like low films too that people don't know about. Like, there's this movie called Primer. It's about time travel too. It is. You have to watch that movie like 3 times to get everything. But it's insane. It's a crazy movie. It's called Primer. Let me see if I can show you guys a picture of that one. Primer. It was 2004. It's an independent film about the accidental discovery of time travel. It's a good movie. I'm trying to. So this is what it looks like. It's called Primer. Good movie. So Primer and Predestination. I want to hear about it on Fridays live. I want to hear what you guys think about it.
There hasn't been a lot of good movies. You know what? I'll tell you what. There has been a lot of good series. It's like what I was reading today is that, or not reading, I was watching, I guess, a clip that Disney decided to pull out of making any more currently Star Wars or I guess Marvel or DC movies for right now. The market's not good for them right now. They're not making enough money off the productions. So,
well, that's all they've been doing for the last I don't know how many years. I think people are getting tired of it. They want something new.
Yeah.
They want something funny. They want comedy back. They want horror back. They want everything back. I don't know. It is what it is. But yeah, these are some good recommendations, I think. If you guys want to see some sci-fi, I would check out Primer. I would check out Predestination with Ethan Hawke. If you're looking for some comedy, rewind it. There was a lot of good stuff that was said. When it comes to the horror films, which and this will be our last topic. What is the scariest movie that you've ever seen, Big Blue?
I want to say I always got when I was younger. I always got more freaked out with like Poltergeist or something like that, Exorcist kind of movies.
So for me, I saw The Exorcist. The Exorcist was all right. It had its moments, but it was older. For me, there was one scene, and it's not even a scary movie. It really isn't. But there was one scene in this one movie that I saw, and I don't know if it tripped me out because I was at my parents' house at the time, and so I was probably in high school still then. Um, it was late at night. I was by myself, and I was watching a movie called The Others with Nicole Kidman. And there was the scene where, so in this movie, you have these two children who had this condition where they couldn't be in the sunlight or else they would blister, right? And so they had all the curtains closed, and there was a scene where somebody kept opening the curtain, and the little girl was telling her brother, like, I know it's you. And he's like, it's not me, it's Victor. Or it's the other way around. The little boy was telling the girl, I know it's you. And he grabbed onto her, and then you heard like somebody run, and then boom, curtain open. And that freaked me out. That moment did. I was like, whoa, but I was also by myself, alone in a house that gave me the creeps. And yeah, it was pretty intense.
I'd say one of my favorite zombie movies out there. Y'all want to watch a comedy zombie movie? Shaun of the Dead is one of my favorite.
That one's good.
I heard the new Evil Dead is good. I heard it's scary, so I gotta watch that one. Evil Dead. I like the series. It's funny. But
Paranormal Activity was a good one. That one, me and my buddies were watching it, and like weird shit started to happen. It was me, my buddy Daniel. What was there? It was me, my buddy Daniel, Hector, and one other of my friends. We were hanging out at Daniel's house, and when Paranormal Activity came out, we decided to watch it there. And like all of a sudden, like freaking shit started moving, like a cabinet door opened in the restaurant. I mean, in the kitchen, we're like, "Holy shit!" Like, but I think it was just creaks and stuff. But that one's a good one. That one's a good one.
Dusk Till Dawn. I see some good ones in there. I like Dusk Till Dawn. Legion's also a good one.
The Strangers. That's a creepy one. Is Tamara home? That one was cool. Like, if anybody knocks on your door, Big Blue, asking for Tamara, just call the cops. Just immediately call 911. Don't hesitate.
I saw a good one the other day. I think it's called Old People.
Mm-hmm.
And then the old people go crazy and start, killing everybody. It's pretty crazy. I like that one.
Yeah. Old People. I haven't seen that one, man. I haven't seen that one. Let's see. We'll answer this and then we'll call it a show. We'll start off with you, Big Blue. Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes.
Have you ever seen one?
I haven't seen one, but things happened. Like certain things moved, and like at work, I said, man, I'm not sure if some of y'all have heard my story before, but there's times I go do X-rays in the back at a certain clinic. And it's happened to me more than once where I walk into the X-ray room, I close the door, get the patient on the table, start doing the X-rays, and behind me there's a CT room. So I'm literally like right here on the computer and the wall's probably like 1.5 feet behind me.
Mm-hmm.
The door will open, right? Like,
mm-hmm.
And I always think like, oh, maybe it's the other tech looking for me or something. And I look through there, and there's nobody there, and there's no reason the door should open because I never touched that door. And it had already been minutes since I've entered the room, so the pressure shouldn't force it open.
Mm-hmm.
And that's happened to me like twice at that clinic, man. Like, I just continue to doing my work and doing the X-rays because that shit creeps the crap out of me.
Dude, I hear you, man. I hear you. So for me, and I also answer for Jaime as well, which is crazy that I can. But hold on one second. All right. So got it. My story goes, and I've said it here before. There was one time when I was in law enforcement, we got a call for an audible alarm at a church. And I showed up with another officer. We arrived, it was a 3-story church. It was about 11 o'clock at night. They had some sort of meeting that went late. Some ladies from the church, and they heard an alarm, got scared, called us. When we got there, The alarm wasn't on. We talked to the old ladies. They told us what happened. I'm like, all right, whatever. So we're going to clear the building. So we call out on the radio and say, hey, we want radio silence just in case somebody's inside the building and we need to, run after somebody. We don't need somebody that's out there on patrol to pull over our vehicle and be on the radio and stepping all over us, right? And so we call for radio silence, so the radio's quiet. We enter in and we go up to the third floor. And right when we entered in, or right before we entered in, I'm sorry, the third floor alarm goes off. Audibly, we can hear it. So we go into the building. We go up to the third floor where we hear the alarm coming from. And as we turn onto the third floor, the alarm shuts off. No big deal, whatever. We start going through the rooms. There were like classrooms for the church. And at the very end, there was this big recreational room where they had like a ping pong table, a TV with video game console and a sofa and things like that. We left this third floor, went to the second floor, which was like offices. Those were cleared. And then we went into the first floor, which was where the chapel was. And as we were about to enter the chapel area, the third floor alarm goes off again. And so we run up the stairs. As soon as we turn the corner to get into the third floor from the stairway, the alarm goes off again at the same point that it went off the first time. I noticed it at this point. James, who was my partner here in this situation, he had noticed it, but he hadn't told me anything yet. We start going through each of the classrooms that were up there. We get to the recreational room, and there's an open window. So I go up to the window, and sure enough, beneath it goes to the fire escape. I look down. I don't see anybody running down the fire escape. It doesn't look like the bottom was dropped where somebody could have gone through there. So I assume, also because there's a bunch of dust around the window pane, that nobody jumped through it. I felt that if somebody would have gone through that window, the dust would have been disturbed, and there would have been more signs of somebody going through. So I locked the window and assumed that the alarm was going off because of the wind, forcing that window to go open and close. So my assumption was that we were probably not going to be hearing any more alarm calls. So then we end up going to go back down to the second floor to make sure that while we were running up to the first floor, that somebody didn't run into the second floor before we got there. Researched that area, went back into the chapel area, and on either side of the stage are these stairs that go down into the basement area. And I take one side, James takes the other side, and we start going down these stairs. And about halfway through it, the stairs level out, and there was a door. I go to grab the door. Now, be advised, we're clearing this building, so weapons are drawn, guns are out, flashlights are out. So I go and I open the door, and as I grab the doorknob twists in my hand. And so I kicked the door at that point and almost shot the damn door. And I get down and I walk in, and nobody's in there. It's a single bathroom. It's just a toilet and a sink, and that is it. So I exit out. I will finish going down the stairs, and down there, I believe there was like a kitchen or stuff. There was stuff moving. Sounded like stuff was moving, but I couldn't see anything. At that point, James comes down the other side pretty quickly. And I asked him, like, hey, man, like, where were you at? I expected him to come down around the same time I did. And he's like, before I went down here, I heard somebody get up and run through the chapel, and it sounded like sneakers on a basketball court, like the. And so he said, but he couldn't see anybody. And he went through every one of those pews and didn't see anybody out there. And I was like, dude, you got to check out this door, this room that I was walking down. And so we proceed to walk up the stairway that I walked down. And as we're approaching the door, he runs up to it, opens it, and yells, "Get the F down." Right. And he's like, dude, please tell me you heard that. And I was like, I didn't hear anything. I honestly didn't. I said, I didn't hear shit, man. What did you hear? And he said that he heard somebody say, they're coming. He's like, I heard it clear as day. Somebody say they're coming. He's like, this place is creepy as hell. And as soon as he said that, boom, third floor alarm goes off again. And I was like, oh shit, I locked the window. That shouldn't be going off. Right. So We then proceed to go back up to the third floor. We get up there, and sure shit enough, as soon as we turn the corner, turn off. Right? And James tells me, he's like, dude, have you noticed that every time we get up here, that alarm turns off? And I was like, dude, every time we turn that corner, it turns off. So we start searching again, making sure nobody's up there. We get to the recreational room. At that point, another officer had arrived on scene and made her way up to the top, and she had yelled out, hey, Daniel, James, are you all okay? And we come out into the hallway because I was in one room, James was in another, clearing the building. We enter into the hallway and we're like, yeah, we're code 4, which code 4 implies that we're okay. So then Isabel gets on her radio and she says, 1608 100 made contact with 1604 and 07. They're code 4, which basically was our call signs, and 100 is dispatch. Now, at that point, we could hear Isabel's voice break on our radio. Then we heard the radio break back, 10-4, code 4. Isabel told us, we've been calling you guys. We had never heard the radio break until that moment. Never once did it go off. And I was like, man, that's freaking crazy. And at that moment, we started to walk out. And as we started to walk out, the third floor alarm would go off. We would stop moving and it would turn off. It was a motion detecting alarm, yet it didn't catch our motion the 3 times we were up there until the time that Isabel showed up. Our radios never broke while we were there until Isabel showed up, and we left. We went outside. We talked to the old ladies. I told them about the window. They said that it remains open and unlocked because it's a fire escape. So I told them they had to go unlock it because I locked it. And I told them to call their alarm company because something's weird going on. We hung out there for a while because it was like a Sunday night. It was pretty dead. And that third floor alarm would go off every now and then while we were out there. It was crazy, dude. It was the weirdest stuff that had ever happened.
Yeah.
And so, and answering for Jaime, I got this. This is a picture of Jaime's old apartment. Now, Jaime's old apartment had he said he heard some things and he had some weird feelings or whatever. So he set up his trail cam, and he said that his trail cam took 4 pictures. It took the picture of him setting up the camera, taking down the camera, and these 2 images that I'm about to show you while he was gone. Now, this one here, I asked him, I was like, Jaime, what set off your, there it is. Yeah, it's these 2. I was like, what set off the your motion detector in this picture? And he proceeds to point down to the right corner here. You can see a yellow and red, what looks like a child's, let me take this banner off real quick. So you see a yellow handle right here and a red handle that looks like a child's bike. And you can see this pink ribbon-like thing at the edge of the camera, right? At the bottom corner, you see the red and then like a yellow handle. You can see something pink go between the red and underneath that yellow. So whatever this pink object is right there going, not through it like physically, but going through that loop. You see what I'm saying, Blue? I know there's a bunch of like freaking arrows there now.
Yeah.
But that is what he believes he set off the camera, because that's not here in the next picture. Now, what set off this picture? You look over here above the chairs, you can see there's a pretty ghostly shadow figure right there. And if you look in close, you can actually see it's transparent. Right? Whatever this is, while nobody is here, is strong enough to block out this. You can't see
the clock.
The clock behind it. Now you can see the light source and the reflection of the wooden chairs here, and it looks like it's a window. I don't see anything standing or impeding that light source to cast a shadow. behind it. You know what I'm saying? So the pink thing's missing, and this shadow thing is behind in these two pictures.
Yeah, those are tough to explain. Man.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't know it either, dude. It is weird, and I wish I could see what time it is too and stuff. I mean, it looks like it's like everything looks a little bit darker. You can tell it lightens up here. It's lighter, and then it gets just slightly darker with this dark figure there.
Yeah.
Only Jaime would put a trail cam in his apartment. He was looking for Bigfoot. The only Bigfoot he found was himself in a costume. It's Peter Pan. It could be. But, yeah, so this is, when somebody asked if we believed in ghosts and things of that nature, those are our stories. But we've gone 2 hours and 20 minutes, Big Blue. I think that this is going to be a show.
Yeah, long show. Thank you, everybody, for being on there with us today.
Yes, we appreciate it. We appreciate you all. Hit that like and subscribe on your way out. We'll see you guys on Friday.
Yes, sir. Peace out.
Peace.
The shadow people. Watch out for the shadow people.
They need to start paying rent. That's what they need to do. They gotta be